Ryan, let's now go to the big story out of your own home state of Oklahoma. A University of Oklahoma student down in Norman says she failed an assignment because the transgender teaching assistant who graded it disapproved of her religious message in that assignment. Where are we in this situation? Has that student had that grade restored? Is the teaching assistant punished? What's going on right now?
Well, right now, OU is saying they're investigating it and they're looking into it and all of that. But again, this is an example of what we've been saying for years, which is higher ed is at war with Christians. You see it play out time and time again. Hey, Oklahoma is the reddest state in the country, and yet you even see this happening there. And look, Samantha's an American hero. Samantha stood up and said, listen, this is my opinion. That's what the paper is about. I cited the Bible, and because we've got transgender activists that are pushing woke indoctrination on our kids, they say, no, sorry, that doesn't count. Your opinion is evil. We're not going to count it. We're going to zero you out. We're going to hurt your academic career. Brilliant student here, because we hate Christians. We hate Christianity, not on our watch. And so listen, everybody involved in this should be fired. Any of the professors that okayed a zero because she cited the Bible, they should be out. And listen, we should be reviewing their taxpayer status. You cannot continue to have taxpayers funding higher ed that is undermining our country and is attacking the Christian faith. So they say they're reviewing it. I know they're hearing from a lot of Americans right now that say this is outrageous that you would target a student for being a Christian.
Yeah, I mean, also, Ryan, it isn't just political misguided stuff and political hatred here. It's also an incredible amount of stupidity and ignorance from people who are supposed to be our educated folks here. News headline: Universities in America were started as Christian divinity schools. The valedictory addresses, the first valedictory addresses at Harvard and Yale, were given in biblical Hebrew. These were divinity schools. It doesn't work if you have a university, even a so-called secular university. It doesn't work if you're going to leave out the Bible and things like that. The university structure in this country for over 300 years has been all about, more than that, really 350 years almost, has been all about starting with our biblical knowledge, branching out from that. Of course, we have our hard sciences and things like that. But if you keep the Bible out of university, you've changed the university into something else. It's really something I don't think enough people understand, do they?
No, they don't. And you see exactly why they don't want our kids to know history. We fight this all the time. You fight it in K-12 with the teachers' unions that are constantly trying to rewrite American history, tell kids that it's a racist, evil country, tell kids that Christianity played no role in American history. Just read the Founding Fathers. It's right there. Like you said, study. Where did universities come from? What were their intentions? What made this country great? But this is why the fight is in our classrooms. This is why the fight is in higher ed, because they know they can fundamentally change this country by lying to the next generation, turning them against their faith, turning them against their families, turning them against this country. And we've got to get back and continue the fight in education, get the teachers' unions out, fire these woke professors, defund universities that are continuing to undermine the very principles that made this country great in the first place. But by the way, it is incredibly intentional plan. We've seen this play out in years in higher ed. The professors have overrun the universities with their woke ideology, and President Trump is doing a tremendous job fighting back, saying, hey, if you guys are going to do this nonsense, then, hey, we're going to come in and we're going to make sure that this is ended, because, again, these are taxpayer dollars paying to indoctrinate our own kids.
All right. Well, I'm going to have some fun with this right now, Ryan, because let's push back on those university folks right now, because I want to talk about this in context of this other story that I know you're interested in. The state, a teachers union in the state of Florida for university professors is pushing back on Florida's rule that they have to publicly publish the syllabus for their courses, the syllabi, that's the plural of syllabus. So that's what they're trying to do. Now, I want to talk about this in the context of what I think is really going on here. It isn't just them trying to cover their tracks politically, but I think that if everyone sees the syllabus for each individual course online, they'll just be able to read the books on their own. Now, this isn't just my idea. I want everyone to understand something. My good friend, Will Hunting, went to a bar in Cambridge and proved this. I want you to check out this clip. Of course, I'm talking about the movie Good Will Hunting, not a real person, but this is a great clip explaining why maybe they don't want to put that syllabus online. Check this out.
Hang on a
Attention,
second.
you're a first-year grad student. You just got finished reading some Marxian historian, Pete Garrison probably. You're going to be convinced of that till next month when you get to James Lemon. Then you're going to be talking about how the economies of Virginia and Pennsylvania were entrepreneurial and capitalist way back in 1740. That's going to last until next year. You're going to be in here regurgitating Gordon Wood, talking about, the pre-revolutionary utopia and the capital-forming effects of military mobilization.
Well, as a matter of fact, I won't, because Wood drastically underestimates the impact of social
Wood drastically underestimates the impact of social distinctions predicated upon wealth, especially inherited wealth. You got that from Vickers. Work in Essex County, page 98, right? Yeah, I read that too. Were you going to plagiarize the whole thing for us? Do you have any thoughts of your own on this matter? Or is that your thing? You come into a bar, you read some obscure passage, and then pretend you pawn it off as your own idea just to impress some girls? Embarrass my friend? See, the sad thing about a guy like you is in 50 years, you're gonna start doing some thinking on your own, and you're gonna come up with the fact that there are two certainties in life. One, don't do that. And two, you dropped 150 grand on a education you could have got for $1.50 in late charges at the public library.
You could have got it for $1.50 in late fees at the library. Ryan, that's what's really going on here. Sure, they're radical leftists, but they're not thinkers. You can be a scholar and memorize a lot of books, but so can I. We can all read that, and maybe I don't need to spend 200, 300 grand on a university education if I can read the books on my own.
No, that's a great clip, by the way. That's exactly right. I mean, when you look at higher ed, you look at the American people have said, you know what, we're so tired of this. We're so tired of the nonsense. We want a real education here. And what you see here in Florida is these teachers unions, again, they are so radicalized. And I want to commend Governor DeSantis and the Commissioner of Education here in Florida for fighting back, saying it's pretty common sense to say, every teacher, we want you to post your syllabus online so parents actually know what you're supposed to be teaching in the classroom every day. We want to know what our kids are learning. But why do the teachers unions not want that? Because they are at war with parents, because they want to indoctrinate your kids. They don't want you to have any idea what's being taught in the classrooms. I mean, there's no logical reason to hide from parents what their kids are being taught in the classroom. And again, a wake-up call for the teachers unions. God gave kids to their parents, not to a teachers union boss, okay? So guess what? The parent gets to know everything that's going on in the classroom, and if the parent objects, you're not going to continue to do it. We're not going to continue to allow this transgender nonsense in the classroom. And again, transparency is key here, but it is so telling to see the teachers unions fight back on, no, parents, we don't want you to know what your kids are being taught. Any good teacher would tell you, we want parents involved in our kids' education. We want parents to be engaged in what's going on in the classroom. But the teachers' unions have a radical view for the country, have a radical indoctrination scheme they're pushing on kids, so they don't want parents to know.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you something. If they don't want parents involved, then stop charging tuition that no 19, 20, or 21-year-old could pay on their own. If you want the parents out of it, then stop charging the money that only mom and dad can provide. Ryan Walters, thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your time in Florida.
Thank you, Jake.